And in order to use it, you have to create software and applications for various industries above it. If you look at most of the technology companies today, some of it could be in social media, some of it could be in e-commerce, some of it could be in information search, and these are all amazing technology companies whose business models are something else. Our business model is purely technology. Now, the way that AI works and our technology works is that in the final analysis, the technology platform is built in layers, and that's one of the reasons why we think of it as a platform. You're standing on top of it. An application or an industry stands on top of that platform. That platform starts with energy on the bottom. One of the reasons why this administration has made such a huge difference right away is this pro-energy growth initiative. Its attitude about energy is that if we don't have energy, we can't enable this new industry to thrive. It is absolutely true. So layer one is energy. Layer two are essentially the chips and systems, but the chips. That's where NVIDIA comes in. Layer three is a whole bunch of software, and we build a whole bunch of software on top of our chips. And we're well known for this piece of software called CUDA, but there's hundreds of different pieces of software that we create that enables people to do AI for different fields of science or language or images or whatever it happens to be, robotics and manufacturing and such. But that third layer is called infrastructure, basically software. Now, people historically have thought of infrastructure really as cloud. But increasingly, it's really important to realize that infrastructure includes land, power, shell, because these are, and I'll speak about this in a second, that this industry spawned another industry altogether, and I'll come back to that. But the third layer is basically infrastructure, and that infrastructure includes financial services because it takes an enormous amount of capital to do what we do, and historically all of that software. The layer above that, and this is where people largely focus on when they talk about AI, which is the AI models. This is the revolutionary, of course, ChatGPT, incredible work that Anthropic does with Claude, and Google does with Gemini, and what XAI does with Grok. But the important thing to realize, those are 4 of the 1.5 million AI models in the world. AI is not just intelligence that understands English or language, but it's AI that understands genes, proteins, chemicals, the laws of physics, AI that understands quantum, AI that understands physical articulation, otherwise known as robotics, AI that understands patterns across long sequence of time, financial services, AI that understands longitudinally across multiple modalities, healthcare. And so AI has all of these different reaches and domains. We talk about this one area. We just have to be very careful to understand that AI spans basically every form of information across every field of science, across every single industry. 1.5 million AIs around the world. On top of that are all the applications. And we never should forget that in the final analysis, these AI models are technologies, but technologies are about enabling application and use. Whether you're in healthcare, you could be in entertainment, manufacturing, self-driving cars, transportation. Each one of these industries have AIs that deeply affect them, and these are the 5-layer stack. NVIDIA is at the lower level, the platform level. The reason why we say that we're an AI company that works with every single AI company in the world is because we're the platform by which we are able to work with all of these technology companies and all these application companies across all these industries. And so that is a platform that we created. The moat that people describe, not so much a moat, but basically the language by which all of these different applications and these different technologies speak to us is an architecture we invented 25 years ago called CUDA. And on top of that CUDA library is a whole bunch of algorithms that we invented over the years, and that is basically NVIDIA's platform. In the end, we don't build self-driving cars, but we work with every single self-driving car company in the world. In the end, we don't discover drugs, but we just have we work with every single drug discovery company in the world. We're the platform by which they build their things. We're a platform company.
I think I had a half a dozen young kids come up to me today saying NVIDIA gave them a better gaming experience. I mean, all your
before we invented the AI industry, the first industry we created is the modern gaming industry. Yeah. You don't know this. I'm very proud of this. NVIDIA is the world's largest gaming platform.
Yeah,
and you probably didn't know that.
That's how most of the kids were talking to me about that today. I want to see them.
300 million active users.
Yeah.
100 million of them, Nintendo Switch. Yeah, NVIDIA's in that.
Okay, so let me ask you. You said something recently that was quite provocative. You said that China was winning the AI race, the AI competition. I know that you've got a powerful, competitor in Huawei, and Huawei has a lot of advantages you don't have. Why don't you describe this competition? Are we really losing?
It was a very good headline.
It was a great headline, yeah.
And apparently caught a lot of attention. As you know, with headlines, the disclaimer part, the foundation part, was left out of the headline. But the way to think about that is that, let me just handicap it right now. If you look at AI and go back to the first thing that we said, AI is a 5-layer cake. Let's just always simplify. It's not quite this simplistic, but let's simplify AI into a 5-layer cake. Energy, chips, infrastructure, models, and applications. Okay? And let's handicap it across from bottom to top. At the lowest level, energy, China has twice the amount of energy we have as a nation.
I want to ask about that.
Twice as much energy as we have as a nation, and our economy is larger than theirs. Makes no sense to me. We also know that one of the most important initiatives, one of the most important policies of this administration, and it was the first thing that President Trump said to me when we met, is, listen, we need to reindustrialize America. We need to onshore manufacturing again. We need to help America make things again. It's going to create jobs. That part of the economy has been offshored and completely gutted the United States. We need to bring that back, and he needs my help to do so. And so that entire sector of the economy is missing. And however, without energy, how do we build chip plants, computer system plants, and these AI data centers? We call them AI factories. We're building simultaneously 3 different types of factories in the United States: chip factories, supercomputer factories, and AI factories. They all require energy, every single one of them. Yeah. And so on the one hand, we want to reindustrialize the United States. How do you do that without energy? And so the fact that we vilified energy for so long, President Trump sticking his neck out and taking it on the chin and helping the country realize that energy is necessary for our growth, is one of the greatest things he's done right off the bat. And so now, at the energy level, back to that stack, we're 50%, and they're growing straight up. We're kind of flat right now. And so, number 1, energy. Number 2, chips. We're generations ahead. We are generations ahead on chips, and I think everybody recognizes that. Number 3, infrastructure. If you want to build a data center here in the United States, from breaking ground to standing up a AI supercomputer is probably about 3 years. They can build a hospital in a weekend. That's a real challenge. And so at the infrastructure layer, their velocity of building things, because they are builders, their velocity of building things is extraordinarily high. Now, really quickly on chips, we're several generations ahead, but don't be complacent. Remember, semiconductors is a manufacturing process. Anybody who thinks China can't manufacture is missing a big idea.
But China discounts energy costs for a chip company by 50%.
That's right.
They provide free transportation for employees to come out to the factory.
That's right.
I mean, you can't do that. I mean,
our energy cost is more expensive than theirs in the first place.
Absolutely.
And then they discounted 50%. And so we're probably call it 4 to 8 times the cost.
So tell me, how do you feel about this great competition with China? I mean, the government is putting enormous resources underneath their champion. We don't do that in this country. You know, how do you feel about that?
Well, before I get there, don't let me not answer that question. I'm dying to answer it. But let me handicap the next 2 layers. The model layer, United States frontier models, our frontier models are unquestionably world-class. We are probably, call it 6 months ahead. However, out of the 1.4 million models, most of them are open source. China is well ahead, way ahead on open source. Now, the reason why open source is so important is because without open source, startups can't thrive, university researchers can't do research, you can't teach AI, scientists can't use AI. Basically, all of the industry around your economy have no ability to fundamentally advance themselves unless you have open source. Without Linux, where would we be? Without Kubernetes, without PyTorch, all of these different types of technologies that made AI thrive are all open source. They are well ahead of us on open source. And then the layer above that, applications. If you were to do a poll of their society and ours, and you ask them, is AI likely to do more good than harm? They're going to say, in their case, 80% would say AI will do more good than harm. In our case, it'd be the other way around. And so that tells you something that's very, very important. Socially, we need to be careful not to describe AI in these science fiction movie ways of describing AI and causing people so much concern. We want to be concerned, but we also want to be practical. AI is about automation. And that area, I think that we need to be careful not to fall behind in the application and the diffusion of AI, because in the end, whoever applies the technology first and most wins that industrial revolution. As you know, electricity was invented in the UK, but the United States applied it faster, more broadly, and as a result, look where we are. And so we have to be a little mindful. And so anyways, I just handicapped that stack. Okay, and I don't think it's important when you're looking at AI not to see it as a holistic thing. It's really not about ChatGPT versus DeepSeek. You have to look at it across all of the stacks and across all of the industries. Does that make sense? It's a little bit more complicated than one simple answer.
But do you feel you have a level playing field up against China putting their resources under Huawei?
First of all, America's technology industry, just as our financial services industry, our military, our technology industry, we can all agree, are the mightiest in the world. I am part of one of the mightiest industries anyone in history has ever seen.
Oh.
We have, going toe-to-toe against anyone, the American technology industry has nothing to fear. We are mighty, we're fast, we're inventive, we'll take anybody on. However, we can't concede the market to them. As you know, at the moment, NVIDIA has been banned from going to China. Not to mention, China has banned NVIDIA going to China. Yeah. So I think we're the first company in history that has been banned on both sides. And so whoever banned us going to China, them and China agree. that NVIDIA should not go to. Now, of course, I'm being a little cute here, and I'll be a little bit more nuanced here in a second. But at the moment, we're simply not competing in China. Now, what's going on? We have conceded essentially the second largest AI market, the second largest technology market in the world.
I know.
China will. It's not. Somebody has said to me, "Well, yeah, okay. Well, we're not in China, but we're going to grow somewhere else. You're not going to replace China." It's just as the world wanting to sell to America and they want to export to America. If they don't export to America, you're not going to replace the United States. We are singular in the world. We are absolutely singular. And so in the case of China, we shouldn't concede the entire market to them. They're formidable, but conceding that entire market, we ought to go compete for it. Having said that, we should also acknowledge that Huawei is one of the most formidable technology companies the world has ever seen. They deserve, although they have a lot of support, whatever support they have, they deserve all of the respect that everybody ought to give them. We compete with this company. They're formidable. They're agile. They move incredibly fast. We said if the United States was not in China, China's AI industry would be set back.
Yeah.
Absolutely has not happened. As a result, their semiconductor industry has double. You know, the semiconductor industry in the West, around the world, is growing at 20-30% per year. Growing 20-30% per year compounded versus doubling every year compounded doesn't take long to catch up.
But, you know, they're starting on second base and we're just going up to the batter's box. You know, they've got a real advantage. And that means we need to think about this. Can I ask you, we, at the G20 summit, Li Keqiang, you know, the premier was there, and he was offering opportunities for countries to be participants with China on AI. And we didn't even send a delegation. It doesn't feel like we're in the game.
They're smart about technology proliferation.
Yeah.
If we use 5G as an example, they realize 5G is technology that's also a platform, because on top of 5G, you build all kinds of services on top of it. Well, if you get there first, wherever you get first, if you get there first, just as NVIDIA, I was there 25 years first. And so I had, you know, for a long time, nobody paid me any never mind. So I had lots and lots of time to build up all these ecosystems and applications and relationships and ecosystems. And yeah. I connected all this stuff together in all these different fields of industry. I had 25 years to do it. In the case of Huawei with 5G, they were completely, through policy, completely isolated, people thought, in China. So they had 1 billion phone users all to themselves. It gave them the opportunity to grow scale. They exported the technology to all of the countries of Belt and Road, and now there's AI Belt and Road. And so they'll definitely diffuse the Chinese technology as quickly as possible, because they understand that the sooner you get there, the sooner you build the ecosystem on top, the sooner you become you become essential part, a dependent part of that ecosystem.
Tell me about the Chinese ecosystem they're trying to create. Obviously, it's deep and it's robust, and it has a physical as well as a technological and economic dimension. How do you look at that?
Take a step back again. Remember, I think it's like 9 out of the 10 top science and technology schools in the world are now in China. They lead in science and technology in many different fields. This has completely flipped in the last half to a decade. We used to lead most of them. Now they lead most of them. They have a large population of highly qualified students. Absolutely. Number one. Number two, 50% of the world's AI researchers are Chinese. Third, 70% of last year's AI patents are published by China. The ecosystem of AI in China is vibrant, rich, incredibly innovative.
Yeah.
They work incredibly hard. This is a country with an enormous might. So that is the ecosystem of software developers.
Yeah.
Now, that layer, as I just mentioned, the model and the application layer. All of these scientists, they're sitting at the model and the application layer. And now they're going to take that capability, because the United States is no longer participating in China. We've left China. We're evacuated that market. We've conceded that market. And so now they've got to go build their own. So using these AI researchers, all of these incredible computer scientists that they have, their richness of software capability, and they're going to go build their own complete stack. Once they build that entire complete stack, they'll export it as quickly as you can imagine. And this is the world what we will find someday if we don't activate.
We'll be buyers, not sellers.
That's right.
Let me ask you now, you're in Washington, D.C. I know you don't look forward to those opportunities, but we're...
It's my only opportunity to wear a suit.
And a tie. But let me ask, because, we're involved in something I've not seen before in my 45 years here. We've delved into industrial policy. I always thought industrial policy was something that we shouldn't be doing in this country. Now, the Biden administration decided that they would define what they would allow you to sell. And they have this thing that they call diffusion that they were trying to manage. Now you get the Trump administration. They don't have that, but they want a golden share, and they want a % of the cut, on how you're doing business. Tell me about how you look at this industrial policy that we have in Washington.
I do agree that industrial policy